Hello, I'm Nakia Basharuddin and this is Nightline, the top stories. Political turmoil, the best solution is being worked on, decrees Yang di-Pertuan Agong. And Muafakat Nasional urges for dissolution of parliament. Welcome. Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah on Tuesday called on all Malaysians to be patient and give him the opportunity to fulfill his role as head of state. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong said the best solution was being worked on for the country.
We are very concerned. Just be patient. Sabar. Due to the peace. I hope you will find a best solution. Okay?
The king said this after surprising members of the media stationed at the palace gates by bringing them burger, fries and drinks. Al-Sultan Abdullah on Monday had treated the media to fried chicken. Meanwhile, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong completed interviewing 83 MPs one by one on Tuesday. The remaining MPs will be interviewed on Wednesday. The move is in line with the federal constitution, which states that the king shall appoint a member of the Dewan Rakyat as the prime minister, who in his judgment is likely to command the confidence of the majority of the House members. The controller of the royal household, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, in a media briefing said that the remaining 138 MPs will be interviewed on Wednesday. The personal interview with the king is witnessed by the Chief Secretary to the government, Datuk Seri Muhammad Zuki Ali.
The interview will be done today and tomorrow. What next will be confirmed by His Majesty. So far, I have no mandate to share with you on this. Maybe later. It seems that Prime Minister had an audience with Tuanku yesterday, so I believe that not necessary, only the Prime Minister interim. No, not to say smaller group, they will be arranged in the room and they will be called one by one-on-one basis. I believe this is the first time.
At the federal level.
At federal level. Correct. It refers to the Federal Constitution, Article 43, Para 2, whereby it is up to His Majesty believe that the person that be nominated has the command of the confidence of the majority of the Parliament. So it has to be done by himself, not through us, not through anyone else.
Tak ada perbincangan, cuma mengisi borang.
Borang apa?
Untuk menunjukkan siapa yang kita nak jadi Perdana Menteri.
Datuk Seri pilih siapa?
Sudah. Saya tulis nama.
Datuk Seri.
Tak ada. Jangan dia buat spekulasi, okey? Itu saja, kita jumpa Agong minta, okey? Kita menghadap sekejap saja, 2-3 minit. Terima kasih. Itu saja. Okay?
Ada buat pemilihan?
Sekejap kita nak pergi HQ.
Hari ini Tuan Tuku Agong ingin mendapat tahu untuk kita menamakan seorang Perdana Menteri atau kita mencadangkan untuk bubarkan Parlimen. Tetapi cadangan kita, SD kita adalah rahsia. Jadi kita terpulang pada Kebawah Duli Yang Maha Mulia Tuan Tuku Agong untuk mengambil tindakan yang perlu.
And right after the meetings with the King, Barisan Nasional and its allies, PAS and Parti Bersatu Rakyat Sabah, PBRS, have retracted their support for Tun Dr. Mahathir as Prime Minister. UMNO Secretary General Tan Sri Anwar Musa said instead they called for Parliament to be dissolved and for a fresh general election to be called to resolve the country's political crisis.
Kalau dalam unity government itu melibatkan DAP, kita sebulat suara, kita mengambil pendirian kita tidak akan menyertai kerajaan itu. Oleh yang demikian, lalu pendirian kita ialah dalam situasi yang seperti ini, mandat haruslah dikembalikan kepada rakyat dan kita memohon supaya Parlimen dibubarkan dan biarlah rakyat yang menentukan, utamanya kepada rakan-rakan media yang.
He said this at a press conference at the Menara Dato' On in Kuala Lumpur. Tan Sri Anwar added the parties have also presented their stand to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong during their audience with the King earlier.
Kami Barisan Nasional, Muafakat Nasional, PAS dan sebagainya tak.
In the meantime, Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS has declared its support for Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad to lead the country as Prime Minister. Its Secretary General, Dato' Alexander Nanta Linggi, in a statement on Tuesday said GPS support was conveyed to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and to Tun Dr. Mahathir himself on Sunday by Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg. He said the Chief Minister had obtained a unanimous mandate from the GPS Supreme Council and all 18 GPS MPs. Johor Barisan Nasional meanwhile said it is confident of taking over the state government despite the risk of a hung state assembly following the collapse of the State Pakatan Harapan coalition. Its chief, Datuk Hasni Mohamad, said Johor BN has the numbers and together with the crossovers from Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia and other former PH component parties, the coalition is confident that a hung state assembly will not happen. It has been widely speculated that Johor will see a hung state assembly if there is an emergence of a new political bloc or coalition. PH has 39 seats in the 56-member Johor State Assembly, comprising of 14 from DAP, 11 from Bersatu, 9 from Parti Amanah Negara, and 5 from PKR. BN, or Muafakat Nasional, on the other hand, has 17 seats comprising of 14 from UMNO, 2 from MIC and 1 from PAS. In the event that Bersatu joins the UMNO, PAS and MIC bloc, Johor will see an equal 28 seats among the two coalitions, leading to a hung state assembly. Meanwhile, the Johor State Assembly, scheduled for March 5th, is likely to be postponed following the latest political landscape. Johor State Assembly Speaker Suhaizan Kayat said there had been no change in the position of the Chief Minister and the State Exco. He said if any changes were made, he would seek advice from the state's legal advisor for further action. Suhaizan was commenting on the current political turmoil that saw Parti Pribumi Bersatu President Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin announce Bersatu's exit from Pakatan Harapan, which formed the previous government. Over in Perak, Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal Azumu says he is still performing his duties as the Perak Menteri Besar as usual. In a statement on Tuesday, the Tambun MP and Cinderiang Assemblyman said he still commands the majority support from the State Assemblyman. He said the state government is functioning normally despite the current situation at the federal level, and State Executive Council members are also performing their responsibilities as usual. Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal, who is from Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, also said he had an audience with the Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Muizzuddin Shah, to update him on the current political situation in the country and in the state. Perak is among at least 3 Pakatan Harapan-ruled states expected to collapse if a new coalition comprising of Gombak MP Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali's independent bloc, Bersatu, Barisan Nasional, PAS, Warisan and Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS is formed. In Malacca, Chief Minister Adli Zahari said the PH-led state government is still in control and he is still the CM despite the current political turmoil.
Hari ini saya ada pertemuan dengan wakil rakyat dan juga ADUN. Saya minta supaya program-program yang melibatkan mereka itu diteruskan seperti mana biasa dan kalau boleh tidak dibatalkan pada mana-mana program. Jadi saya harap semua jentera kerajaan harus terus melaksanakan tugas dan tanggungjawab mereka kerana tanggungjawab kepada rakyat ini mesti diteruskan walaupun apa suasana politik negara.
This came just hours after he bid adieu after PH no longer holds the majority in the state legislative assembly. With Bersatu leaving PH, the coalition only holds 13 seats out of 28 instead of 15 previously, while the opposition pact has 13 seats. Tun Dr. Mahathir returned to his office at Perdana Putra in Putrajaya on his first day as the interim Prime Minister. The vehicle ferrying him was seen approaching the protocol gate at 9:29 a.m. This comes a day after Tun Dr. Mahathir resigned as Prime Minister when the Yang di-Pertuan Agong accepted his resignation. However, the King has consented for Tun Dr. Mahathir to continue running the country as interim Prime Minister until a new Prime Minister has been appointed and a new cabinet formed. Tun Dr. Mahathir is the only one from the Pakatan Harapan administration who is left after the Yang di-Pertuan Agong cancelled the appointments of all cabinet members on Monday. Besides ministers, the duties of other members of the administration, including the Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Ministers and political secretaries, ceased effective Monday. The Prime Minister started his work on Tuesday with meetings with leaders of political parties. The meetings took place at the Prime Minister's office. According to a statement by the Prime Minister's office, 8 of them met with Tun Dr. Mahathir. They were Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS Chairman Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg, Bersatu President Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, PKR President Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, DAP Secretary General Lim Guan Eng, UMNO President Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, Past President Datuk Sri Abdul Hadi Awang and Amanah President Muhammad Sabu. The PMO statement added that besides the 6 leaders, Tun Dr. Mahathir also met with former PKR Deputy President Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali. It also said that another meeting is slated for Wednesday, where Tun Dr. Mahathir will meet Parti Warisan Sabah President Datuk Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdal. 8 more individuals acquitted on LTTE link charges. This and more after the break. Welcome back. 8 more individuals accused of supporting the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, LTTE, were released and freed of all charges on Tuesday. They included Gade Assemblyman G. Saminathan, age 35, Technician C. Arivantan, 28, Scrap Metal Dealer A. Kalai Mugilan, 29, Postman S. Tiran, 39, Green Technology Company Chief Executive Officer S. Chandru, 39, Sunjam Rangam Elias Rangasamy, 53, Security Guard M. Pumugan, 30, and DAP member V. Suresh Kumar, 44. They were acquitted and discharged by 4 separate high courts. Their release follows the prosecution's application to discontinue with the prosecution against them upon the instructions of the Attorney General relating to the charges. Judge Datuk Muhammad Jamil Hussain, in acquitting Saminathan and Arivantan, said there was no prospect for the charges against the accused to be reinstated, since the prosecution did not wish to proceed with the case. In Perak, the State Customs Department confiscated 2 million cigarettes of various brands worth 2 million ringgit, including tax, following 2 separate raids in Setiawan, Perak and Cheras, Selangor on February 12th and February 20th, respectively. Perak Customs Director Muhammad Sarpin said in the first raid at a house in Setiawan, some 2 million sticks of cigarettes were recovered, while in the operation in Cheras, more than 8,000 bottles of alcoholic drinks were seized. He said the department is still investigating to determine those responsible for smuggling the contraband. Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's SRC International Sdn Bhd trial has been postponed to Wednesday, as the former Prime Minister had been summoned to Istana Negara. Lead Defence Counsel Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah said his client had been summoned to the palace on Tuesday morning, but the time had been adjusted as he had a meeting at UMNO headquarters. The High Court granted the postponement and Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali then adjourned the hearing for the day. Still to come on Nightline, COVID-19 death toll in China reaches 2,666 people. The details are... Now on to the foreign front. The COVID-19 death toll in China has risen to 2,666 people on Tuesday, with 508 new cases were reported, bringing the total number of cases to 77,658 cases. According to the National Health Commission, 71 new fatalities were reported on Tuesday, with 68 of the cases in Hubei, while 2 others were in Shandong and another one in Guangdong. It is learned that 499 of the cases were detected in Hubei, while 9 others were outside of the epicenter. Meanwhile, multiple provinces in China have reported 0 new cases for several days in a row now, with the World Health Organization saying Monday that the coronavirus epidemic has peaked in China. South Korea, meanwhile, on Tuesday reported its 10th death from the novel coronavirus and 144 more cases, bringing the total tally to 977 cases, the largest national total anywhere outside China, where the virus first emerged. The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said more than 80% of the infections have been in South Korea's 4th largest city, Daegu, and neighboring North Gyeongsang province. Following the development, scores of events have been cancelled or postponed as the outbreak has spread in the world's 12th largest economy, from K-pop concerts to the start of the K-League football season. Over in Japan, a 4th person has died on Tuesday after becoming ill aboard a coronavirus-stricken cruise ship as the government unveiled a new policy to tackle the outbreak. It is understood that the deceased was a man in his 80s who had tested positive for the new coronavirus. The government, meanwhile, unveiled Tuesday various measures intended to slow the spread of the virus, including expanding the number of hospitals that can receive suspected patients and asking people with moderate symptoms to stay at home. In Spain, hundreds of people were confined to their rooms at a Tenerife hotel on Tuesday after an Italian tourist was hospitalized with a suspected case of COVID-19. According to health officials, the man, a doctor who came to Tenerife on holiday, was being kept in isolation in a hospital. He was the 3rd case identified in Spain after a German tourist in La Gomera, another Canary island, and a British man in Mallorca were tested positive. Meanwhile, in Thailand, 2 new confirmed cases were reported, bringing the total infections in the country to 37. It is understood that both of the new cases are Thai nationals. One patient is a 31-year-old female and has a family member with a history of traveling from China, while the second is a 29-year-old male driver for Chinese tourists. As of Tuesday, a total of 22 patients have been discharged and 15 are still being treated. In Indonesia, torrential rain brought floods to Jakarta on Tuesday, killing at least 1 person and paralyzing large parts of the city as rescue workers used boats to navigate streets turned into murky brown waterways to get people to safety. According to officials, the flooding was particularly severe in the eastern part of Jakarta and Bekasi, West Java, where 1 resident died from electrocution during the disaster. It was understood that more than 200 neighborhoods were affected by the flood, and at least 325 electrical substations have been shut off to ensure safety. At the moment, authorities said officials were concentrating on mitigation and were preparing to deploy all resources to help those affected. Indonesia's weather agency, meanwhile, linked the rains to tropical cyclones that brought bad weather to southern parts of the archipelago. The agency also warned of high waves in the seas south of Java Island. Former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, who was ousted by the military in 2011, has died in Cairo at the age of 91 on Tuesday. According to officials, Mubarak died at a military hospital in Cairo, where he had undergone an unspecified surgery. Mubarak, the fourth president to Egypt, ruled the country for a period of 30 years before he was forced to step down on February 11, 2011, as a result of the January 25th revolution. He spent 6 years in jail following the protests, but was released in 2017 by Egypt's highest appeals court, which cleared the majority of charges against him, including inciting the killing of nearly 900 protesters. Before we wrap up Nightline, let's take a look at what has been installed on the front pages of Malaysia's main newspapers on Wednesday, February 26. The New Straits Times highlights on Tun Dr. Mahathir's effort in building a more efficient cabinet as the King begins his consultation with all MPs. While Malaysia's best-selling Malay newspaper, Harian Metro, reveals the result of a poll conducted on its social media on Malaysians' choice of Prime Minister. Berita Harian focuses on the King's hope to get the best solution amid the country's political turmoil. And a report on the mounting support for Tun Dr. Mahathir to be the Prime Minister again takes the front page of the Malaysian Reserve. Be among the first to get your copies.